Okay, Andy Farrell has announced his 38-man squad to take on the Australians in the British and Irish Lions tour this summer, and there's some big calls, aren't there? There are some massive calls. Let's get into it. Let's get straight into it. I'm really excited about this squad. Overall, let's just do a quick intro first. I don't think there are too many people who can, feel really harsh done by. I think maybe like two or three people. But overall, it's a pretty good squad, what we expected. But there are still a few, I would say, half-shock inclusions. So let's start off with the captaincy. Maro Itoje is the captain of the Lions, which is a fantastic choice. We might as well get to the talking point straight away, one of the big talking points. Caelan Doris not in the squad, so this injury to his shoulder must be pretty serious, and it doesn't mean he can't rejoin the squad at a later stage, but whether he's even going to go to the Lions has to strip him of that captaincy if he was going to get it anyway. I'm not convinced he was still guaranteed to get it because, Maro Itoje is quite a bit more experienced player. He's played in World Cup finals and stuff, and Caelan Doris hasn't quite got that far. And, Maro Itoje's just been playing for longer. He's an older player. So I think he's fully deserving of captaincy. Well done to him. Great to see the Saracens legend captaining the Lions. I think it's also, correct me if I'm wrong, the first English Lions captain since 2001. Is it Martin Johnson? I might be wrong, but I know it's at least 12 to 16 years. But if it's 2001, it's 24 years since an Englishman captained the Lions. So well done to Maro. And then they bring out Maro. They do lots of stuff. He's carrying his big lion, looking very cool, and they do a load of questions and stuff. And then finally, about 20 minutes later, they start to actually announce the squad. And they didn't actually show the reactions on screen, which I would have liked, but I have since been on social media. I mean, I'm recording this at 4:20, so it's been a couple of hours. It's shot by. I've just been talking to people and been on TikTok live, and everyone's loving it. But to actually finally get to announcing the players, and they go through the forwards first. I'd like to do it in alphabetical order, but I'm just going to go by position because it's just easier for me to talk through it. Again, we'll start with the props, and I don't think there are any surprises here. They're the 6 props I put in my prediction video. So we're starting off on the loose head with Genge, Porter and Schoeman. I've just done these alphabetically. And then Fagerson, Furlong and Stewart on the tight head. So, as I said, 2 English, 2 Irish, 2 Scottish. I think that's pretty fair enough, isn't it, really? I don't think you can really argue with that. They've been informed props. I would like to see Genge or Schoeman start for the loose head because Porter, I love Andrew Porter, I really do. What he did in that Champions Cup final last year, incredible playing so long, but he's just a bit of a penalty machine when it comes to scrummaging, and Australia have a strong scrum. And then probably like to see Fagerson or Stewart start at the tight head, but as expected really. Now hooker is, I think, the first surprise of this squad, and I think a bit of I don't agree with this call, but there is bias coming into this. But Jamie George is not going to the Lions tour, which I think is a massive call from Andy Farrell, because Jamie George was the English captain last year, and he's just, I'm not sure he's quite in the form of, a few years ago, but he's probably the best line-out thrower in the world. Hugely experienced, been on 2 Lions tours before. So I don't feel that gutted for him because he's been to a couple before, and it's good to give new players experience. But he's just such a sort of leadership figure in himself, and I think it's a really odd call. I think you could have started Sheehan, and if you needed a steady head to come on, if the line-out's going wrong, you bring on Jamie George in the last 20 minutes in a test game. So I think that's quite harsh on him. I mean, every single video you see this ball here and it's got a signature on it, and that is Jamie George's signature. So definitely a bit of bias coming in there. But is it Irish bias picking Ronan Kelleher? I don't know. I think he starts behind Sheehan for Leinster, so I don't know. I think it's a harsh one on George, who starts for Saracens, yet Kelleher, who's a backup at Leinster, is in the squad. Again, I said in my warm-up prediction video, Kelleher would be deserving of going still. I mean, he's a great player. Cowan-Dickie went, and he was the first hooker actually mentioned because he's early on in the alphabet. So, I was excited for him. I don't know if you've seen the video on social media of him, the Sale Sharks guys getting behind him on the bus. I mean, he definitely deserves it. Wonderful season for Cowan-Dickie. Really, really good for Sale and England. So excited to see him going on the tour. Moving into locks, and there's definitely a couple of calls here which are I don't know if it's surprising, but you just thought they might not make it because of their recent form and injuries. So we're going with Tyburn, Chesham, Scott Cummings, Itoje, McCarthy and James Ryan, and that is them in alphabetical order. Byrne and Itoje were definitely never in doubt. Chesham and McCarthy, I think 95% of people would have both of those in as well. The two big enforcers, if you like. And then James Ryan gets in, which is a bit surprising. I think James Ryan doesn't get the credit he deserves sometimes. I think Leinster fans are quite harsh on him because he was built up to be probably one of the best Irish locks ever, and he's not quite become that. But he's still a great player, sort of leader in himself, and a real enforcer on the pitch. So I'm no problem with Ryan there. Also, Scott Cummings, obviously the Scottish lock, he's been injured at Six Nations. But I also don't have a problem with him being there. But I think someone like Daffydd Jenkins can feel quite hardly done by. I mean, Wales's sort of vice captain. And he's also gets through a lot of work. So I feel like he's been probably the most harshly done by. I would have probably put him in over Ryan and Cummings. Maybe not on ability, but just pure form. And he's been playing the test matches. So yeah, George Martin, obviously another big lock who's injured, so he won't go. So that sort of rounds up the locks. I think mostly, though, pretty fair. You can't argue Cummings and Ryan going along. Then we get into the back row. I mean, this is the big stuff, isn't it? This is the most hotly contested position, you could argue. Let's get into the first talking point. That's all we want to talk about it. It's in the thumbnail. Henry Pollock got chosen. He got chosen to go on the Lions at 20 years old. At flanker, I mean, you see like wingers like Reece Samet went at 20 years old, and you've got that raw pace and athleticism. But Pollock at back row going on the Lions, that is incredible. But I am so happy he is, and I don't know if it should be about this, but you can't deny the fact that he is going to make headlines, and he's going to get people watching the Lions even more, people who might not so much, and you'll get sort of heads turning in Australia and probably in other countries as well. So I think there's that aspect to it, but that's also discrediting him. He has been probably one of the best back rowers this season. His stats are just ridiculous. I think he's the second highest try scorer in the Champions Cup. Not amongst forwards, just full stop. I think it's Penno or BLBRA, or maybe both of them, I don't know, and then him. So I don't know if they're joint first and he's second. I'm not sure, but yeah, awesome stuff from Henry Pollock. I've just got to switch his computer because I'm looking at the names. But yeah, he deserves to be there. He deserves to be there. You could argue he's not had the test match experience, but then he went and he showed he has the capability and quality in that Champions Cup semi-final. So I'm delighted he's there. Other sort of flankers are Tom Curry, Jack Morgan and Josh van der Fleer. So... And yeah, well, let's get to the other two as well. Jack Conan and then Ben Earl. Obviously, Ben Earl can play flanker, but really interesting. Really interesting. You've got to think Conan and Earl will be those playing number 8. Obviously, Doris got injured recently. And who has come in for Doris's injury? Was it Conan? Was it Earl? Or was it Pollock? I mean, it's got to be one of those three, you would have thought. But yeah, I'm a bit surprised at Ben Earl. I didn't have him in my squad purely because he's not been in the best of form in 2025 for England or for Saracens. I mean, he played quite well for England and went under the radar, but he didn't play like he did 18 months ago and 12 months ago for England. But he's still playing very well, and if he plays in the Lions games, he's going to ace it. I know, he's fantastic. He's so explosive, and people have kind of forgotten about him a little bit, which is crazy, but he is brilliant. We have to talk about the one big omission. I think he should be hugely disappointed, is Jack Willis. I mean, what more has the man got to do? Well, I'll tell you what he's got to do. He's got to play for England. But yeah, he's probably been, other than Caelan Doris, the best back rower in the, well, I was going to say in the Northern Hemisphere. Yeah, in the Northern Hemisphere in the last 18 months. He's captaining Toulouse when Dupont's not there. An Englishman captaining a French team. Toulouse, obviously, the best team in the world, undoubtedly. In Southern Northern Hemisphere, doesn't matter. Toulouse the best team in the world, Champions Cup champions last year, and then top 14 champions. So what more has Jack Willis got to do? He's got to play for England, and he knows he sacrificed his England career to stay at Toulouse. That's his decision. I mean, if it's a great environment and you're enjoying life out there, the lifestyle, you have the self-improvement as a player under that coaching staff with those world-class players, you can absolutely understand his decision, and you'd hope England would change the rules eventually for him. I mean, that's what he's hoping. But you have to know that your risk, by not playing for England, you're also jeopardising your potential to play on the Lions tour. And it's cost him. It has cost him. yeah, and just jumping the gun a bit, but Blair Kinghorn is being chosen as one of the backs. I'm sure anyone watching this knows the lineup already. So Kinghorn at Toulouse has been chosen, but not Jack Willis. So very, very interesting. I think rumours were going around yesterday in the papers that the Lions have contacted Toulouse to see if Willis and Kinghorn can come out early, but no, it was just Kinghorn apparently. As I said, other players might come in later on, so there's still room for Willis to get a late call up. Come in as support for the squad, or key injuries can still happen. Tom Curry gets injured every bloody month, so it's not over for Jack Willis, but he's not in the initial squad, which is very interesting. And yeah, I mean, I'm starting, so he should really be hurt. I mean, he doesn't play internationals. Pollock's only played one international, so you can argue him ahead of Pollock. Morgan's not, doesn't play for the strongest international team, which it helps him, but doesn't matter. Van der Fleer, I mean, every time Leinster played Toulouse, I think Jack Willis got the better of Van der Fleer. So, yeah, Jack Willis, harshly done by. And then moving on into the backs, Gibson Park, Alex Mitchell, Thomas Williams, completely correct in my opinion. Lots of people talk about Ben White, not for me. Wouldn't have Ben White in the squad for me. So yeah, I don't know what you guys think. Also, yeah, give me your comments, by the way. Please write in the comment section. I want to know in particular what you think about the Jamie George situation, about Jack Willis, and about Daffy Jenkins. I think those are the three main guys that have been left out so far. Everyone else, I think, is pretty much... Well, I think everyone else deserves to be there, but those are the three big omissions. So let me know your thoughts there. At fly half, we have Finn Russell, Finn Smith, and Marcus Smith. That is massive, isn't it? Marcus Smith is the third choice 10. Well, it might be first choice, who knows? But he is one of the 10 selected. And that is a big talking point in itself, isn't it? Because this was also the position which was really hotly contested. And some big names have not made this squad. The likes of George Ford, Owen Farrell, Jack Crowley, and of course Sam Prendergast. Those are the other four in contention. It's really interesting. I think Marcus Smith, what helps him is that he is quite a lot more versatile than the other four guys, and he's very different stylistically, even at 10. So obviously versatile, I mean, he can play at 15 if needed, but yeah, he's much more of a running threat than any other 10 out of the whole 7 in contention. He offers something a bit different. He's also a big name who I think is going to get a few headlines, so that's also, I think, slightly in the back of people's minds. I think commercial things do come into play somewhat. But no, not to discredit him though, because he had a fantastic year for England in 2023 and, quite ruthlessly dropped to fullback or the bench in favour of Finn Smith by Steve Borthwick during the Six Nations, but it doesn't mean he's not a great player. It's been slightly off it though in the last month or two. But yeah, fair play to him. Marcus Smith, he's in the squad alongside Finn Russell and Finn Smith. So yeah, great to see those three there. Farrell, not picking Farrell. His son's not been called up, which is of course interesting, but he's just been too injury prone. I mean, lots of people would have thought is pure leadership and his experience and what he's done, but you can't pick him in his current state. Not his current, he's just been in and out too much. George Ford, I think, has been really harshly done by. I know people, it won't be a popular opinion, but he is playing the houses down right now, and he's never been on a Lions tour, and he's so experienced, and he's been in these massive games. He's played in the World Cup final, for Christ's sake. It feels, he's been overlooked once again. Sam Prendergast, never for me, as I said, and Jack Crowley is probably the one also who's probably just missed out. And again, as I said, all these players I'm mentioning right now, they could still get in. There could be injuries. There could be a slight expansion. They want to take another 10 to test against them. What is George Ford really going to get out of playing for England against Australia? I mean, he's going to start. That's the thing now. He's going to start for England against Argentina. Sorry, not Australia. So yeah, that's something for him. But you would like to see him get one hurrah on the Lions tour. And yeah, Jack Crowley and Prendergast will still battle it out for that Irish jersey. Oh God, it's funny how these things work. And then going into the centres, pretty standard. Bundiaki and Sion Tuipulotu at inside centre. Hugh Jones, Gary Ringrose at outside centre, as predicted. No Robbie Henshaw. They've only stuck with 4 centres, which is interesting. So you got to feel slightly bad for him, but I think he's behind the other 4 which were picked. A lot of people saying Fraser Dingwall is a late shout. Would have loved to have seen Fraser Dingwall there, but sadly not. But someone who is there is his Northampton teammate Tommy Freeman. And I just want to talk about Northampton again quickly, because I don't know if you've seen the way there's player reactions and sort of celebrations to every name getting announced. But all the Northampton guys are sitting together. A lot of them were sitting together in these different squads, but some were at home. Ollie Cheston was at home, for example, Ben Earl. But Northampton guys were sat together at the training ground, I presume. And the spirit, like, out of all the reactions, there's no one team celebrating more together than Northampton. And you got to see that Fraser Dingwall doesn't get picked. You know he's not being picked straight away because he's starting with D, so he's one of the first backs. He knows he's not in it, and he's still getting really pumped up for all the other Northampton guys. And you just see that togetherness, which you got to admire from that team. And the reaction to Pollock in particular is pretty fun. So do check that out on the British and Irish Lions. I think it's on their Instagram or somewhere on their social medias. You'll find it. Do check that out. But yeah, that was good to see. Other wingers included James Lowe, and then these are the backup two. Duhan van der Merwe, I think not really a surprise, but some people would argue. And then Mac Hansen is the fourth winger. That is, wow, that's something, isn't it? It's because he's got a tattoo. If he didn't have a tattoo of Andy Farrell, he's not getting picked. But yeah, lots and lots of Scottish people in the comment sections. From what I can see, very, very annoyed that Darcy Graham hasn't been picked. They're calling it a bit of Irish favouritism. I mean, there might be a slight aspect of it with with Hansen, Kelleher, Ryan. You could all argue there's some Irish bias there, but they're all fantastic players in themselves. I think Mac Hansen, you know, he's been in and out of form and injury, but he is still a great player. So yeah, I'm not too fussed with Hansen going instead of Darcy Graham personally. Fullbacks, Keenan, Kinghorn as expected, but then the final guy, Elliot Daly, is in the British and Irish Lions squad. People will not like this. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy that England fans did not want to see Elliot Daly in the England squad, and then he has a fantastic Six Nations, and then just 2 months later, less than 2 months after Six Nations finished, he's already becoming a scapegoat again. Like, why is Elliot Daly in this squad? Because he was unreal in that Six Nations whenever he was called upon. And this is the thing about Elliot Daly. He can play 10, 12, 13, 11, 14, 15. He can play anywhere in the back line except scrum half. Maybe not fly half, but, you know, he has a lot of positional sort of versatility. So... and he's huge experience. And you see some of these iconic Lions tries and Lions moments. And Elliot Daly is in all those clips quite often in the last two tours. You know, he's been crucial in some of these tours and in starting positions. So he's been there and done it. And he's in great form. I think he kind of deserves to be there, if I'm to be honest. I didn't put him in my squad. And I actually forgot about him. After I did that video, I was like, I could have put Elliot Daly in. But I'm not too fussed if he goes or not. But he's going, and I'm very happy for him. So yeah, that's all the notes I've made. I don't think I've missed out any major talking points. I think, yeah, Jack Willis, Jamie George, probably the two harshest done by, and then maybe Daffy Jenkins and Darcy Graham. So yeah. And for speed of this video, I'm probably not going to edit in all the different names and positions I just mentioned, but I will put in here the overall squad there. That is the 38-man squad going out to Australia as of now. Of course, there could be changes. You could see Doris still come back in, as I said, and Willis and George and Darcy Graham and whoever might get late call-ups and late inclusions. We hope none of these players get injured, but it's almost inevitable in the final month of club games alone, let alone warm-up, training, and then other early Lions games against the club teams, that some of these players will sadly get injured. So yeah, it's definitely not over for if you've got your favourite player not in the squad who are borderline, like for example Darcy Graham. It's definitely not over for them. So yeah, keep an eye out on that. But hopefully all 38 of these guys stay fit and healthy and have a great tour. Not to interrupt myself, but I've actually just finished the video and editing it, and I've just heard that Andy Farrell actually said there's 2 slots available for players who prove their form and fitness. I'd finished the video and I didn't really hear everything Andy Farrell said on the sort of live announcement because I was also live on TikTok talking to other people and reading comments. But apparently Andy Farrell did say there's 2 slots for people to come back or to come in if they prove their form and fitness. Does that mean like someone like an Owen Farrell? That'd be very exciting. Maybe like a Laws or Willis or other people we mentioned, Darcy Graham, and forgot to mention the captain himself, or arguable captain, Caelan Doris. He'll also have to prove his fitness. I just forgot that name. Arguably the best player to pick. So Caelan Doris could be in one of those 2 slots if he proves his fitness. So yeah, just to interrupt myself with this little clip, but yeah, that's the big news. 2 other slots potentially for players still available. So a real incentive for all those players who weren't picked to really push still in the last month, as I'm sure they would anyway. They're professionals, they've got other achievements, but yeah, still open, room open for 2 more players. Very exciting. Let me know who you'd like to see be those 2 players in the comments below. I've done a little breakdown of each team, how many from each team are in it. So here it is here. Ireland are the top with 15 players. I don't think you can argue with it. People will say, oh, it's Irish bias, but you know, they're just the best team. I know they didn't win the Six Nations, so finished behind England this year, but they are the best team. And then England narrowly behind with 13 players, Scotland with 8, and then 2 Welsh players, obviously Jack Morgan and Thomas Williams. So yeah, they both deserving to go. Yeah, I think a really good squad. I've also broke down the team, if you really want, by players where they're really from. So we've got England with 14 at the top. Some smart ass will say, oh, Marcus Smith's from the Philippines and all that stuff. So you can move him down to Philippine if you want, move England down to 13. But you know, he's produced in the English system. And then I've moved Hugh Jones across to England because he was born in Edinburgh but grew up all his life in England. But if you want to move Hugh Jones back to Scotland, you do that. Ireland with 11, of course they lose a couple of those Kiwis and Aussie player. Scotland with 3 Kiwis, James Lloyd, Gibson Park and Bundyaki. 2 Welsh, 2 Aussies, Sion Tupelotu and Mac Hansen. They are born in Australia. I think they both have Irish and Scottish sort of, what's the word, heritage. So it'd be interesting to see how they feel going up against Australia. Of course, this is their country where they grew up in. Both those guys grew up in Australia till 18 years old. So yeah, it'd be very emotional for them, I'm sure. Then 2 South Africans in Schoeman and Van der Merwe. So yeah, that's a diverse squad there. But yeah, I think a really good, exciting squad. We'll get more into predictions later in the year, closer to the time, about how they go against Australia. But it's interesting, the breakdown. I'm just trying to see if there's any other talking points to mention about the squad that's been picked. I think you can look at the wingers. That's probably the least exciting position for the Lions. James Lowe, Van der Merwe, Freeman and Hansen. Most exciting players probably Van der Merwe. Freeman's in excellent form. He's also very exciting, but no one there with super fast pace. Van der Merwe's probably the quickest, but you know, Freeman's being in such red hot form right now. Hopefully he keeps that up until the Lions come around. Pollock is going to be very exciting, isn't he, in the back row. I just like to see him. I would love to see him to come off the bench and have an impact and do a chip and chase or something over one of those Aussie guys. It would be fantastic to see. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything else to mention. Do write in the comments if there's any other things you want me to do a video on and talk about with the Lions. Not just like, don't say prediction video. We'll get into that at another time. But anything to do with the squad, anything that you think that needs mentioning, yeah. I'm just very curious to watch other people's videos now. I'm sure we're all, if you're watching this far, you're probably a rugby YouTube nerd like myself. Very sure, I'm sure you've all been watching like Egg Chasers or 2 Cents Rugby doing a live watch along. I'm going to go rewatch them and see what they were saying and how they reacted to the squad. Do let me know the most, the main players you think missed out. Oh, I did want to talk about quickly. I think Finley Bealham is probably someone who's slightly missed out here in the props. I think he's had a good Six Nations. Obviously another sort of Irish Aussie player, which would have been funny for him to play in Australia. But I don't think he starts over any of the props that were picked. But I think he needs a sort of mention because he was in good form. Some Welsh props came in and had a decent game, like Will Griff John. Have I said that right? I always get his name wrong. And then Nicky Smith came in and you got, was it Wyn Thomas, Wyn Jones and something Thomas, Gareth Thomas, I don't remember. Anyway, I don't think there's anything else to mention about the squad. If you've got this far, thank you so much for watching. I'm sure we're all watching as much Lions content as we can in the next, 24 hours. Yeah, please like the video if you got this far and subscribe for more Lions stuff. I'll be going on the tour. Well, I'm not going on the tour, but I'm going to go to Australia and see the tour and the tests against Australia, all 3 of them. So do subscribe if you want to see all that content coming up in the next 3-4 months. And I can't wait, so hopefully you can't wait either. And yeah, I'll hopefully see you in the next one. Cheers, guys.